First of all, we need to change this first expression into something which we can actually differentiate. The x squared is okay to differentiate, but not the minus 16 over x. So what we need to remember is that if we have 16 over x, so I'm just going to play about with it here, 16 over x, you can think of it as 16 times 1 over x, okay, because 16 can be thought of as 16 over 1. So 16 over x is the same as 16 over 1 times 1 over x. And you should also know that 1 over x can be written as x to the minus 1. In order to differentiate, remember, we have to have something in the form ax to the power n, and then when we differentiate it, the a becomes multiplied by. So when we differentiate it, a is multiplied by n, so we get a n x to the n minus 1. That's the rule really for differentiating in general. So first of all, the x squared minus 16 over x, then I can write it as x squared minus, and then it's 16x to the power minus 1. Okay, so differentiating now using the usual rule. X squared, when we differentiate it, the 2 comes down in front and the power of x drops down to 1, so it just becomes 2x. We're now going to do the minus 16 times the minus 1, well, that's plus 16x to the power, and the minus 1 drops down by 1, becomes 1 less, so minus 2. So dy by dx is the same as 2x plus 16x to the power minus 2. Okay, right, next thing, they give us part of the graph, and they say that P is the turning point of the curve. Now, it's important to remember that for the turning point of the curve, the gradient is 0. Okay, and remember the reason for that is if we were to draw a tangent to the curve at this point P, it would be horizontal. So the gradient of the curve is always 0 at a turning point. And we should also know that the gradient of the curve in this case, well, in every case, is dy by dx. So dy by dx has to be 0. Well, if we go back up here, our expression for dy by dx was 2x plus 16x to the minus 2, and that's dy by dx. So at the turning point, that is equal to 0. So at P, 2x minus 16x to the minus 2 is equal to 0. Now we need to know how else to write 16x to the minus 2. So remembering that x to the power minus 2 is 1 over x squared, then 16x to the minus 2 is 16 times 1 over x squared, so that equals 0. And another way of writing that is that 2x plus 16 over x squared is equal to 0. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of the x squared on the bottom by multiplying through by x squared. So I'm going to multiply the 2x by x squared, well, that becomes 2x cubed. If I multiply 16 over x squared by x squared, that becomes just 16, and 0 times x squared is just 0. So I'm now going to divide both sides by 2. So x cubed plus 8 is equal to 0. And now subtracting 8 from both sides, we end up with x cubed is equal to minus 8. And we now need to think, what number do we cube to get minus 8? Or if you like, x is the cube root of minus 8. So what number cubed gives you minus 8? And the answer is minus 2. Minus 2 cubed is the same as minus 8. So x is equal to minus 2. So that means at P, the x coordinate, so we are looking for the x coordinate, which is minus 2. Our job now is to find the y coordinate. Well, if we go back to the original equation of the curve, y is equal to x squared minus 16 over x. So when x is minus 2, y is going to be minus 2 squared minus 16 over minus 2. Now you can put that into your calculator, or you can just work it out. Well, minus 2 squared is going to become positive, so it becomes 4 minus, now 16 divided by minus 2, if you put that in a bracket, is the same as minus 8. And 4 minus minus 8, well, that's the same as 4 plus 8, which is 12. So when x is minus 2, y is equal to 12, which means that the turning point is actually minus 2, 12.